This week's lectures cover the topic of stress and how by tuning into your mind and body with mindfulness and compassion, you can begin to develop a positive relationship with stress. There's so much discussion of stress primarily because it can have such a negative impact on our health. Stress-related health problems account for up to 80% of visits to the doctor and are responsible for the third highest healthcare expenditures, behind only heart disease and cancer. So what is stress? Dr. Hans Selye, who pioneered the study of stress, tried all of his life to give a definition of stress. In his later years, when asked to define stress, he told reporters, "Everyone knows what stress is, but nobody really knows." Stress is difficult to define largely because it can vary between individuals. For example, a thrill seeker jumping out of an airplane will act very differently from another person who is terrified of heights jumping out of the same plane. This is where perceptions of stress make their appearance. The extent to which we perceive experiences as stressful has a big impact on our health. Viewing reasonable amounts of stress as a challenge with realistic optimism is quite different from viewing stress as debilitating. Our perception of stress determines whether we approach stress head-on in a balanced manner or whether we pessimistically face stress. Learning to notice the stress response and then shifting your view of that stress from a feeling of threat to a feeling of positive energy is critical to our health and well-being. Hans Selye said, "It's not stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it." Stress is commonly put into a negative light and its positive effects ignored. But stress can be helpful. We have stress for a reason. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's necessary. Imagine our hunter-gatherer ancestors who experienced a lion in the wild. This encounter triggered their brains and bodies to deal with this stressor. What the stress response does is it prepares the body to engage in something with alertness and wakefulness. Stress can hone our attention and help us focus. The stress response has been absolutely necessary to our survival, and it's still important today. Imagine you're driving and a ball bounces in front of your car. Through a coordinated set of events that occur in our bodies and brains, we're able to respond to that unexpected stressor and choose to quickly slam the brakes. Or you may choose to keep driving. Either way, we had a stressor that produced the stress response, which focused our attention so that we could make a quick decision about how to respond. We experience that same stress response when we have a really important examination or when we have a big job interview. This response raises our alertness and lets us focus on the task at hand. This physiological system was designed to increase our survival. Stress can also lead to greater productivity, at least up to a point, after which things can go downhill. This point where things go downhill is different for each person, so we should be cognizant of the early warning signs of stress. These warning signs are also different for each person and can often be ignored because they're so subtle in some people. When stress is experienced regularly and in sustained amounts, it can become chronic and lead to illness. Almost every organ system in your body is affected by the stress response. Ideally, the body reacts to a stressor with a spike in cortisol and blood pressure, followed by a quick return to normal levels. When we're constantly experiencing stressors and viewing them as a threat, stress sticks around in the body long after the reason for the stress is gone. This can lead to high blood pressure, increased heart rate, and higher levels of cortisol. Your vagus nerve, which helps you feel calm and keeps your heart and digestive system steady, reduces its activity and remains low after the stressor is gone. While there are certainly ways to change your daily habits and reduce the number of stressful experiences, we can't always control the stressors in our lives. Hans Selye said, "The absence of stress is death. Only the dead have no stress." While we can't avoid stress, we can always control how we respond to it. Before we get into using mindfulness as a tool to regulate stress, we're first going to go over the specifics of the stress response and discuss the cascade of events that occur in the body when you experience it.